In fact, assembly elections will be held in 4 states simultaneously with the 7-phase Lok Sabha elections as well, which will be at least starting from April 19th. And these are the assembly elections for Sikkim, Arunachal, Odisha and Andhra as well. 543 seats for the Lok Sabha up for grabs. 84 have been reserved for the scheduled castes and 47 for the scheduled tribes. Quite a bit of numbers when it comes to the first-time voters as well. In fact, 1.82 crore are first-time voters. And if you compare this, it was around 1.5 crore in 2019. So it's a significant jump and something that all the political parties will be looking very closely, from 1.5 crore first-time voters in 2019 to 1.82 crore if we have a comparison. If you look at, according to the Election Commission, between 20 to 29, it's a age group, it's a sizable number, 21 crore voters. And that would be very symbolic of why the BJP and the Congress, both, in fact, other parties as well, have been focusing a lot on the youth as well, with the government claiming jobs, as the BJP claiming the jobs, as well as the Congress raising unemployment as a huge concern. I'm being joined by guests at this point, and we'll try and go across to them. But to give you a sense of what this really means, even as the model code of conduct has come into focus right now, I'm being joined by R.S. Patania, who's a BJP spokesperson, B.S. Arun, who's a senior journalist, Dr. Pooja Tripathi, who's a Congress spokesperson. Thank you very much, all of you, for joining us. Well, to you, R.S. Patania, with the states, with India going into elections for Lok Sabha, two formidable divisions that stand out at this point. One, a Hindi heartland that BJP claims to have made very incisive gains. And then you have the South, which is a formidable challenge. R.S. Patania, as well as Dr. Pooja Tripathi, both of you. First to you, R.S. Patania. R.S. Patania, I think you are on mute. If you can unmute yourself, please.
Sorry. I think now I'm muted very well. First of all, my biggest congratulations to the
please.
140 crore people of India. The enigma and excitement with which the elections are watched across the globe, particularly in India. So the biggest festival of democracy is about to happen. And this biggest festival of democracy happens in a most happening moment. This is the responsibility, this is the duty, and this is rather an onus cast upon each and every political party. Elections to be free, to be fair, to be aloof from inducements, from threats, from vote canvasses on lines of religion, money, muscle power. So I think we all should cooperate. We all should be constructive. We all should respect the sentiment and the spirit, and particularly, as Election Commission has said, the geographical conditions, the historical, the introspect, and particularly the background in which these elections are being held. The 7th phase has been announced by the Election Commission of India. Each and every political party, with all fairness at their command and with full force and vehemence at their command, should try to make this democracy happen in a most beautiful way. Though some pointers have been raised, may it be regarding the phases, may it be this should have been the first phase, this should have been the 6th phase, this should have been the 7th phase. For the first time,
we'll come to that. Answer my question, please, R.S. Patania ji.
Please.
We'll come to that. We have a lot of time to debate and discuss all of those things. Don't worry about that. I've asked you a certain question. Kindly answer that question, sir.
With regard to states, you have put a particular question. With regard to North and South, the Hindi heartland and South, and particularly the Tamil Nadu also, the oldest living, the script, the oldest lipi, the oldest script of the India. So Bharatiya Janata Party stands as one cohesive unit, one nation, one election, one agenda, one manifesto, and one standpoint. So as we will behave, as we will act in North, with same force, with same vehemence. And Pradhan Mantri ji is also on a South tour also. So I think Bharatiya Janata Party's lotus will bloom with full grace and magnanimity as in North as in South. The people of India have been wooed, have virtually enthused, and they have virtually stood by the Bharatiya Janata Party's progressive
Okay, all right.
policies, programs. The Janmanas of India stands with Har Ghar Bijli, Har Ghar Ko Nal Jan Dhan
Okay.
Yojana, Beti
Okay,
Bachao,
let's just look at
Beti
some of
Padhao.
the states which have the highest number of seats, and that will give a sense of also why this question is very important. Uttar Pradesh has 80,
Yes,
Maharashtra 48, West Bengal
exactly,
42, Bihar
exactly,
40, Tamil Nadu 39, Madhya Pradesh
exactly.
29, Karnataka, Andhra, again among states, the top 10 states, apart from Gujarat. Now, to you, Dr. Pooja Tripathi, if we look at the top 10 states in terms of the numbers of seats that are available for the Lok Sabha, the formidable challenge that seems to be for the Congress at this point is one, to handle the fragmented Congress that was a huge challenge in 2019, apart from possibly regaining the Hindi heartland, which is one of the biggest challenges. And I mean, to BJP's credit, they had an incredible win in many of those seats with crossing the 50% mark for the vote share.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate the country on the start of the festival of democracy. That is the biggest Lok Sabha elections. And I urge through your channel, I urge everyone, especially the 1.82 crore new voters, to come and exercise their universal adult franchise that has been guaranteed by the Constitution. Coming back to your question, we have faltered in Hindi heartland. I'll not mince any words in saying that. But look at the problems, look at the issues that have been raised by the farmers are on the brink of they are struggling. They are on the at the borders of Delhi. They are being lathi charged. The youth, they are on streets protesting against the paper leaks, against the massive 48% unemployment. The women's, there's a gang rape in IIT BHU. The parents of Ankita Bhandari are on streets demanding justice. Two minor girls have been raped and hanged in Kanpur. So everywhere, when we talk about, when we are raising the voice of youth, when we are raising the voice of women, when we are raising the voice of farmers, everywhere there's a common sentiment. It completely transcends the north-south divide. When even in Coimbatore, a person is unemployed, and even in Varanasi, a person is unemployed. This unemployment, this massive inflation, this thing, and women's security, this thing has transcended the north-south borders, and BJP with 132 seats that's been up for grabs in south. That's close to 1/4 of the total tally of Lok Sabha. They don't have a single seat in Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Kerala, and Puducherry. And now that's where Hindi heartlands 80 seats in UP and 14 Bihar is a huge number. And everywhere, look at in 10 last 10 years, there have been 22 paper leaks in Akeli in UP alone. So what I'm saying is, and just now the Bihar government, Bihar youth saw massive jobs being given to the youth through the Tejasvi Yadav government, which was dethroned a few days later when Nitish ji decided to switch sides. So I'm sure Hindi heartland, the people of Hindi heartland will realize that the empty hollow promises of 15 lakh in account, farmers' income will be doubled, there will be pakka chat by 2022. They don't ring any bell. There will be black money and they don't ring any bell. And that's why I think people will vote for their issues. People will vote for employment, what we have promised them through youth nyaya. People will vote for women's security, for reducing the huge gender gap and labor force participation rate. And what we talk about Nari Nyaya. People will vote for MSP. People will vote for farmers, waiving of farmers loan, what we have promised in Kisan Nyaya. People will vote for social security, gig workers. People will vote for Yuva Jyoti.
Okay, let me just get in BS Arun. BS Arun, to what R.S. Pathania and Pooja Tripathi have said, there's one common link that is emerging, and that's also emerging from the Election Commission's data. That is the focus that is now going to be hugely on the young as well as women. It's already there. You've seen how political parties have been speaking to them, have been reaching out to them at different possible fronts. My question to you, how much of an outreach to these youth as well as women can make up for that huge, almost 30 crore missing voters?
It's very important. But both the both the kind of voters, both the category of voters, youth and women. The chief election commissioner just gave the data as to 1.82 percent, 82 crore of the first-time voters. And remember, these voters were born, only in the last 2 decades, and at that time, they have not seen the ruling, the rule by the Congress or the other party, the UPA. So it's very important that how the youth vote, and BJP has been focusing on the youth, and in the recent few of the welfare schemes we have seen. The BJP has come out with several of the schemes for focusing at the youth, the employment issues and all that. And as far as the women are concerned, again, there are several schemes that the BJP has come out with. And I was reading one of the data that I was checking. Among the voters of the BJP, as well as the other party voters, there were 29 crore voters who voted for BJP. And out of them, 22.5 crore, were those who got the Labharthi in the last about 5 years. So that's what the data has informed. And BJP would be focusing on these people, on these 22 crore, which is a crucial, voting group for them. So both among those who, both among the youngsters as well as among the others, especially women, because women are amongst the largest category of people who have taken these Labharthi benefits, who have taken the benefits of these schemes. So it is important for the BJP especially than any other party to focus on youth and women especially. And we have seen earlier in the assembly elections, I remember it was Chandrababu Naidu who really focused on women. And in the last year, Karnataka came out with guarantees, 5 guarantees, and most of which focused on women. Telangana too, the end of the year, last year, came out with 6 guarantees, and 3 of them focused on women. So the importance that the women play in our elections, I think, cannot be underestimated. So that is why, election after election, we see the focus being given to youngsters on women. And we have been seeing over the last few years, the question of unemployment has been increasing. And that's why the importance that being placed by the government on creating more and more employment.
Right. Okay, before I just go over to Dr. Pooja Tripathi again to take on what you were saying, let's look at the states that are going through these multi-phase. I'm not going through states that are going in a single phase poll, but the 2-phase polls are going to Karnataka, Rajasthan, Tripura, as well as Manipur are going to have elections in 2 phases. Chhattisgarh and Assam are going to have elections in 3 phases. Odisha, Madhya Pradesh, as well as Jharkhand will be going to polls in 4 phases. Maharashtra, Jammu and Kashmir will be going to polls in 5 phases, and Uttar Pradesh, Bihar as well as West Bengal will be going to polls in 7 phases. Dr. Pooja Tripathi, Uttar Pradesh, West Bengal and Bihar, they constitute possibly the largest chunk of the elections in Lok Sabha. What's the strategy? 7 phases for these 3 states is a long, long time, and some very, very sensitive swing seats in these places.
Definitely, Sneha. When we see the 2019 elections, some seats have a meager voter swing by 5,000 or something. So these states, on the other hand, they constitute the biggest chunk of the Lok Sabha total tally. And on the other side, these are the states with the issues that I'm talking about. When the fellow panelists talked about women, just now Election Commission just mentioned that the percentage of women going to vote has been increasing, and they are expecting a 49% women turning out. And what we saw in the recent state elections, the percentage of women voting have been greater than men. So when we say that youth are struggling with unemployment, with paper leaks, with suicides, and they look for a bleak future when women are struggling. A mere 100 rupees deduction on International Women's Day, I think that was an insult to the whole women electorate of the country. Women are asking for decreasing the gender gap in labor force participation. Asha and Anganwadi workers were protesting in December 2023 for full 60 days in Jantar Mantar. There have been
at these things,
the
Pooja not mincing her words, focusing repeatedly again on what she says are the discontent among the women voters. But RS Patania, do you think with what the government has been claiming with UCC as well as, say, the triple talaq issue, these would be sufficient enough to bridge this gap, something that the Congress has been raising repeatedly?
Sneha, to expose, to oppose, and to depose. I think this is the most unviolable right of the opposition. But at the same time, you need to be positive. Negativity and pessimism, this politics of negativity would not yield any results. If, so far as women are concerned, let me put a poser to the Congress party that 19, Jive Pakistan, Kashmiri Pandits, you leave Kashmir and you leave your women here. Kashmiri women murdered, raped, pilloried in Kashmir. And Congress sitting like a Nero, fiddling in Rome, sitting at New Delhi. And the government of India Alliance, Farooq Abdullah at Jammu and Kashmir. You debarred the daughters of Jammu and Kashmir from their right to property for 7 long decades. And now you are posing a question on women. Triple talaq kept on haunting. In Pakistan doesn't have triple talaq. And the so-called secularist Congress, enjoying the loaves and fishes of power for 7 decades, you kept silent. And now you are saying, महिलाओं पे विषय बनाएंगे आप उसमें. The overall, that Nirbhaya Vishay, which virtually transcended a whole time revolution, a whole time uprising against the Sarkar. No, you want to pip the government on women's safety, women protection, women emancipation, and first of all, women participation also. It has been the focal point of Modi Sarkar. Har sabka saath, sabka vikas, the most vulnerable.
Dr. Pooja Tripathi, your response to what Mr. Patania was speaking.
Yeah, Mr. Patania mentioned Nirbhaya, and I'm very glad he mentioned Nirbhaya because only 30% of the funds, Nirbhaya fund that was set up after the aftermath of the gruesome Nirbhaya Kand, and you were on the streets you could only spend 30% of the funds of the Nirbhaya. 80% of the Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao funds were used in your media advertisements campaigning for the government. Mr. Patania mentioned Kashmiri women. Let me tell you, Dolly Kumari, the last Kashmiri Pandit, who migrated from Valley to Jammu in October 2022 after the revocation of Article 370, after this aftermath of 7 Kashmiri Pandits being killed, after revocation of 370, I'm again repeating, saying that she was not safe and government is doing nothing to ensure protection of Kashmiri Pandits. Go tell this to the parents of Ankita Bhandari, who was raped and murdered by BJP MLA's brother. Go tell this too, that we have revoked the triple talaq and you should be happy and you should not be protesting and asking justice for your own daughter. Go tell this to the gang rape victim in BHU that we have revoked the triple talaq. That doesn't mean you cannot raise voice because you were gang raped by the members of the Bhajpa IT cell of Varanasi. I think this audacity to speak about women issues when every day 3 women are being raped and murdered, and then going on to reduce 100 rupees on International Women's Day, not ensuring Nirbhaya fund utilization, not ensuring Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao fund utilization, not ensuring any kind of protective measures, but saying ki ye to mera parivar hai, ye to mera parivar hai. Aren't the 2 women who were, paraded naked and, they were, what do I say? They were raped in front of the whole mob. They were in the Modi ka parivar, the BHU gang rape.
These are huge concerns, but I don't know whether any political party can take a high-handedness, I mean, when Congress talks about unemployment, yes, unemployment numbers are a huge concern, but we must not forget the paper leaks that happened under Gehlot government not very long back. When BJP talks about women's rights, we must not forget about the unprecedented protests that happened by wrestlers, the women wrestlers that India has never seen. I'll come back to both of you, but B.S. Arun, to this demand by the opposition that if you're not able to hold one phase, a single phase election, why are you talking about one nation, one poll? Well, these are two very different issues, but is there any connect? Can a democracy like India go for a single phase? How is this?
I don't think it's a proper argument about having one nation, one poll issue. In a country of this diversity and size and violence in some parts, it will be very difficult for anybody to even imagine of holding one just poll in a single phase. And also we have to think of moving our forces from one place to another. In such a vast country, there are differences, as far as the law and order situation is concerned in different states. So it's practically impossible to have elections in just one phase. And also, the size of the states are also huge. A state like Uttar Pradesh having 80 seats. Can you imagine having elections in just one phase in the entire state? Forget the entire country. In a state like Karnataka, which has 28 seats, you're having polls in 2 days. So we can imagine the kind of practical problems that the election commission comes across while holding in different phases of elections. And to say that it should be held in just one phase,
Right.
I think is too impractical, and I think we should not be. But one thing that can be said is I think election commission can perhaps think of reducing the number of phases. It may not be 7, but maybe 5, maybe 4, or at least reduce it by 1 every and every general elections. I think that could be more feasible than than saying that it should be in just one phase. We have we have states where the Naxal issue is quite quite prevalent. You take Maharashtra, you take Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand. These states still have the Naxal problems, and simply we cannot have elections there in one phase, and that's quite understandable.
Yeah, these are sensitive seats, sensitive zones. I have one more round of questions to go with you, but before that, please allow me to go across to my colleague Neha Hebale, who's joining us from Bengaluru. Neha, so Karnataka is voting in 2 phases. How are people reacting around you?
Well, Sneha, that's right. In fact, Karnataka, of course, would, of course, be going into polls right now in 2 phases on April 26th as well as May 2nd. That's the second and the third phase over here. What's, of course, important here is, that it is going to be a very key contest in the state of Karnataka. Of course, we've been trying to speak to a couple of people earlier as well, Sneha, but the fact that, the dates have just been announced right now, too many people, of course, aren't really willing to speak to us about this right now. We'll still try and get in a couple of voices over here of some people, who are, of course, walking our way. Sir, hi.
Neha, what is Karnataka looking at?
All right. Sneha.
Okay, Neha, so what are people really looking at this point? When it comes to parliamentary elections, it's very different from the assembly elections, but what are the key concerns? Is Bengaluru, is Karnataka looking at the national picture? Is it looking at the larger issues? Or is it also the strong challenges on the ground, say what we witness as water crisis that's happening in Bengaluru, or even several moral policing instances that keep happening? Does that reflect national sentiments? Sure, go ahead, Neha. What are the key thoughts? What are the key things people are talking about for this election?
Is always quite interesting. Yes, of course, the schematics of Karnataka has always been quite interesting because, the Karnataka is, of course, considered the gateway to the south for the BJP. Now, while on one hand, they would, of course, like to retain the majority of their seats that they currently enjoy over here, keeping the Congress party out. The Congress party, on the other hand, in fact, would be banking on the success of its guarantees and the success of the state election, where they managed to, of course, come to power with a thumping victory. They would be liking, of course, they would like to use that and leverage that as much as they can to try and, of course, gain ground over here as far as the Lok Sabha is concerned. Now, Sneha, of course, talking about the issues over here that concern the people, like you rightly said, the voting for, of course, the state elections and the parliament elections is quite different. And the fact that, Karnataka, of course, has always been a BJP belt as far as, people are concerned. Even over here, we'll really have to wait and see. There's been quite a bit of infighting, remember, in both parties over here. Is that going to have any sort of impact on the people? As far as, of course, voting for their leaders are concerned. We'll try and quickly speak to a couple of people here. Excuse me, hi, if I could... All right, Sneha, of course, it is a busy Saturday.
Okay, Neha, thank you so much. We'll allow you to go ahead, get us some reaction. Thank you, Neha, for joining us with those details. We'll get back to you in a bit. Aris Patania, so the question really at one point, and this is possibly to all three of you, one of the major concerns, and Neha was speaking from Bengaluru. Bengaluru is one of those cities, metros, like several other metros, but is one of those metros that is peaking when it comes to urban apathy, whether it be in assembly elections or whether it be for the parliamentary elections. Urban apathy has been a huge challenge. If you look at the larger narrative, you have around 30 crore voters who are completely missing. They did not vote in 2019 elections. What are political parties looking at? Can they possibly reverse it of the fact that urban India thinks it's not worth it to come and vote for you all? Is that a concern?
You are very right, Sneha. The real focus of Modi Sarkar, Gramin India and urban India also. The vision of smart cities, the way how new metros, new expressways, new connecting links, new Wi-Fi points, how trades, business, and first car, and topping all, the educational hub has become the Bangalore. So I think Bangalore has got a new face. It has bloomed and blossomed under the Bharatiya Janata Party Raj in Karnataka. But maybe a bit of a dilly-dally sarkars, a bit of weak governments, weak-willed governments waiting for responses from Delhi Darbar. So the entire South is heading for a new and a hearty welcome for Bharatiya Janata Party and Narendra Modi ji, and so is the case with Karnataka also, which offers as the gateway of the South. I am very much hopeful, optimistic.
Dr.
And
Pooja Tripathi, how do you look at that?
With all respect and humility, we predict a big win for Bharatiya Janata Party in South and Karnataka too. Please.
Dr. Pooja Tripathi, Congress possibly, at least the India Alliance, when you look at it, may have a foothold in Congress, but in down south. But for Congress by itself, it's not very good either in the south. You may have bastions that may be good. When you look at the assembly elections, possibly not in the same pedestrian as BJP. Congress alone may not be doing very well, but you at least have certain bastions. Why is this not translating into votes or into a similar pattern in the north? Is BJP managing to change the narrative to garner the heartland in a way that Congress finds it very difficult to respect? Considering, one of the things that they keep bringing back, where is Rahul Gandhi in Amethi? How is he not getting back in his homeland?
Rahul Gandhi is traversing across 6,000 kilometers from Manipur, where Prime Minister should be there at the first instance of the violence breakout, or the Home Minister should have been there for the first instance. It's still unstable Manipur, where there are incidents of violence till date, and Prime Minister is nowhere to be seen. And Rahul Gandhi is traversing across Manipur to Mumbai and taking along the guarantees of Congress, talking to the people. And that's where, when you say they are very efficient in managing elections, they're very efficient in they have the money and muscle power with the 6,000 crore electoral bond money. They are making Palace Numa headquarters in every district. But when it comes to Karnataka, I'll disagree with you, Sneha. We have two very formidable state governments in Karnataka and Telangana. They're doing exemplary work. On this 13th March, Khargeji announced about, we are talking about the urban apathy. The Shakti scheme was received by 17005, somewhere around 170 crore round trips by women. And I'll not use the rural schemes. I'll talk about the Yuva Nidhi scheme and the social
Okay.
security to
All
the gig
right.
workers. Gig worker economy is the biggest economy that's been turning up of late, and it has
Fair
encouraged
enough.
many youth of the
Scheme
country, and it
versus
has
scheme.
attracted.
Fair enough. Sure. I'm just left with a minute. Allow me to go to B.S. Arun as well. B.S. Arun, you know, if you there's always this scheme versus scheme, but let me just move ahead to what BJP has claimed as its landmark, as its key promises being fulfilled, whether it be the Ram Mandir, whether it be abrogation of Article 370, whether it be CAA, or several such issues that it has brought to the forefront, to what Congress claims and has become a huge narrative, at least in the National Congress, the Bharat Jodo Yatra. How equitable are the two when the voters look at this?
Well, it's a bit difficult to say considering the results of the recent assembly elections. The uh, Ram Mandir issue, BJP has taken it up in a big way and certainly going to make an impact, especially in North India and maybe Western India. It's important that people have liked it in South India too. But then whether this issue has the capacity to turn them into votes, I think I have my own doubts. Having said that, we should also remember that in states like Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh, the Bharat Jodo Yatra did not make an impact and took Congress to victory. It did. Instead, BJP ran away with victory in both the states, and that was a big surprise. People were, expecting that Congress would win Madhya Pradesh. It didn't happen. But when it comes to South, the
Absolutely.
Bharat Jodo Yatra is seen as being the reason for victory in Karnataka and in especially in Telangana. So there lies the
Right.
dichotomy or the different
The
different
dichotomy.
issues which
Absolutely, B.S.
come
Arun.
into play when it comes to elections.
Right. R.S. Patania as well as Dr. Pooja Tripathi, all the best to you and to your party. B.S. Arun, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much
Thank you.
for
Dhanabad.
joining us. Thank you,
Pranam.
all three of you.